Welcome to the latest dummy conspiracy theory, and this one is pretty funny. It has to do with the why the dummies think Trump won the 2016 election. So let's start right in, and the reason is because the margins in certain states such as Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania were close. Now, if they were far apart, wouldn't that be more of a determination it was rigged? But no, it was because the vote margins were narrow. So here's the conspiracy theory by Dummy Scylla for Progress. It says, I believe Trump flat out rigged the election. The vote totals in Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania were implausibly close. And if they are implausibly distant, so it's whether if it was narrow, that would be proof it was a rigged election. If it was a wide margin, that would also be proof. So heads I win, tails you lose. The 75 plus pages of polling data Manafort gave Klimnik projection. How Trump kept saying the election was rigged. We know that the nomination was rigged from the email releases from the DNC, which, by the way, just want to make a point here. Have you noticed? Jussie Smollett, when he was asked by the Chicago police, refused to turn over his cell phone, and the DNC refused to turn its server over to the FBI. So draw your conclusion from that. It says, this is what Mueller has to keep close to his vest every day. My belief. Yeah, I could just see that Mueller report. It says, yeah, we have definitive proof that Trump colluded with the Russians because the vote totals in those three states were so narrow. Right. You got to be insane or a dummy or both. Actually, it's both when you come down to it. Here's a reaction. You're not alone. Anyone sane knows they did something. We don't know what, but they did something. We don't know what. Here, vote totals for Milwaukee, Detroit, Philadelphia were odd. How about odd was in 2012 when in, like, for example, Philadelphia, there were some precincts which went 100% for Obama. Not 100%. You don't think that was odd? The winning margins in a few states are far too close for it not to look a bit suspicious. It's ridiculous. If you're correct, we are in deep shit indeed. Whatever he did before, he did without the power of the presidency. Now he has that, and he runs the DOJ. I don't see how we stop him before he steals 2020. Yeah, oh man, I'll tell you. Right after the 2020 election, I don't know. Problem is, dummy land tends to melt down and is unusable for a week or two after they lose big elections like that. But when they come back, oh, I've got to see that. They'll be like that woman in the yellow vest on inauguration day. Oh, screaming! I'm using that, by the way, as the thumbnail on this video. Here. On the 2016 election night, I went to bed after I saw Trump won Florida. I knew then the election was rigged and that I needed to sleep. No, actually, I'm in Florida. I was watching Florida. In fact, I barely paid any attention to the rest of the country until Florida is finally declared for Trump. And what always happens in these damn elections is that even though the panhandle, the polls close an hour later, for some reason, as always happens, Broward is the last county to count their votes. And what happened is, if you notice, the margin of victory for Trump was over 100,000. I think it was like 113,000. Now, if he was just like 30, 40,000 ahead, then Broward could have produced the votes. And they were just lingering there. There was probably a lot of phone calls between DNC and the election supervisor, Brenda Snipes, but it was probably going something like, listen, 30, 40,000 I can handle, over 100,000, forget it. So that's what had me worried on election night. And I didn't relax until Florida was finally declared for Trump. But But now, hopefully, they got rid of Brenda Snipes. They got a new supervisor. So hopefully in 2020, we won't have this always Broward, the same problem. We had it in the last election. You saw what happened, with when they were magically getting all these votes. If they kept on going, we would have had that crook Gillum as governor, and the sleeping Nelson would have still remained in the Senate. It says Rump is too stupid to have changed Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin. It was RNC behind the rigging. Rump could not find his way out of a paper bag. The RNC? Wait a minute. I thought before you said it was the Russians. So which is it? Is it the RNC? Was it Trump? Was it the Russians? Was it the Tooth Fairy that rigged the election? I have never doubted this for a second. And it makes my blood boil when people, even folks here, tell me there's no way that happened. Oh, man, I want to see McReeves, Dummy McReeves. I want to keep my eye open on you right after the 2020 election. If your blood is boiling now, it's going to turn to steam instantly in 2020. So, it says, of course Trump cheated. That's what he does, period. Anyway, I'm going to have if you want to see the full thread, I'm going to have a link to it in the video below. So, I can imagine the disappointment they're going to have with the upcoming Mueller report when they don't use narrow election victories as somehow proof of Russian collusion. So, until the next dummy meltdown, see you later.